Hello, friends. Just another book review. Today I've got M. Craig Barnes' Diary of a Pastor's Soul. Diary of a Pastor's Soul. Subtitle here is The Holy Moments in a Life of Ministry. So M. Craig Barnes has a PhD from University of Chicago, president of Princeton Seminary. And so at first you're like, hey, is this going to be one of those kind of left-leaning books, whatever? Absolutely not. He's also the professor of pastoral ministry there at the Princeton Seminary. He's got 37 years of pastoral experience. And this book is a beautifully written fictional account that provides wisdom, provides encouragement, provides consolation for pastors. And when I use the term pastors, I mean pastors being true faithful servants who yearn to shepherd the flock that God has entrusted to them. And so this book, the audience is male and females in pastoral ministry. This book covers the highs and lows, kind of rhythms of ministry, points of conflict. It's organized, it's so creatively done. It's organized in 12 months, and each of those months have 4 weekly reflections of a pastor who is during their last year of ministry. So they know they're going to retire and they're reflecting on ministry, and they take you through that last year of their life. So each chapter is kind of a small vignette or reflection with just kind of great pastoral lessons hidden in there. And so what I want to do is I want to read just a couple of points off, and then I'm going to read 3 quotes from the book in the midst of that, and then I'm going to tell you to go buy the book. So anyhow, part of it is helpful in loving kind of and understanding curmudgeons in the church body, and so pastors, how they have to do that. First quote from you, this is page 24. Brad's only ambition is to be the next in a long line of faithfully anonymous pastors who never move on to prestigious positions. But he isn't anonymous to these people who know his name. Right? And so to me, that's encouragement in pastoral ministry, and knowing that, hey, I may not be famous, I may not have a bunch of followers or a big church body in terms of number, but I'm not anonymous to those people in my church, that I am having an impact on their lives. A couple other pastoral ministry points, and as I'm reading these, you'll probably identify with them. Reminder that we can't change people, we can't save people. That is the Lord's job. Our job is to point them to Christ. He deals with issues of vulnerability with the church, kind of professionalism or being vulnerable. Am I the pastor here? Am I this person's friend here? Reflections on what he calls normal parish life, which he says includes potlucks and 2 a.m. visits to the ER. And so if you're in ministry, you know what that's like. Talks about kind of leaving the church and retiring from the church, and he says he didn't want to leave angry, cynical, broken, or disgraced. And I'm like, man, how true is that? And I know people that have been in ministry and have left the ministry angry, cynical, broken, and others that unfortunately have been disgraced as well. So he gives the analogy in saying, hey, that we are sheep dogs to the true shepherd. I think that's a better analogy than under shepherds. Sometimes, that's come across that in readings. Talks about dealing with hurting people's feelings in the church. Talks about being able to care specifically for our own families and the tension in that. Another one, this is kind of the importance of our personal relationship with God and what that looks like. Comes from page 103. He says, 5 minutes into the sermon, everyone in the congregation can tell if God and I are still on speaking terms, right? So being able to put our relationship with Christ and priority on that as well. And then those kind of reflecting on those times when we are not on speaking terms with God. What else we got for you? Talks about serving the churches with energy, intelligence, imagination, and love. And I think that must be part of the Presbyterians' ordination service, one of their vows in there, but I like that. Energy, intelligence, imagination, and love. And then saying, hey, we will disappoint people. Talks about the difference between kind of programs and people. And to me, it was one of the things I was taught early in ministry, like programs don't bring people, people bring people. And here, kind of the lesson he teaches is like, hey, we're to love people. They're the lasting ones versus our programs that kind of come and go. Last quote for you. This is from page 140. He talks about an older pastor kind of mentoring him, and he says, "He was just telling me to love the congregation God gave me more than my dreams for them." And it really reminds me of Dietrich Bonhoeffer. I think it's in Life Together, where he talks about pastors and loving the church that God has given them. That we're not looking for some stepping stone to the next best thing, but being faithful servants in the circumstance situation that God's called us to minister in. And so, hey, I love my congregation for who they are, not some idealized version of who they could be or my vision for our church. So good stuff there. Different people need different styles of pastoral care. Absolutely true. Talks about the tension between tradition and innovation. Again, serving in the church, right? We're a 2,000-year-old organization. There's a lot of history there, a lot of tradition, and being able to rely on tradition and then being able to balance that with innovation. And so there's tension throughout, kind of multiple chapters about that. The flaw of just trying to make everyone like us, maybe one of those human things that may be more prevalent even in pastors. At the end of the book, he says, it wasn't an easy congregation, but it was a loving one. And so I thought that was a neat kind of conclusion to it. The epilogue, he gives one closing ultimate reminder that, hey, God is with us. And then specifically, God is with me as the pastor, and God is with me even apart from being a pastor, right? In my role and petitions as a pastor and whatever, like God is with us on an individual basis. So I love the book. Like I said, if you're in ministry, go out, buy the book today. If you've got a friend in ministry, buy the book for them. It is, like I said, wisdom, encouragement for pastors all over. So until next time, friends.